Your story matters, don't let it fade. When everything changed, you were made.
Hello, welcome back to the One Stories Radio Network podcast. I'm Wendy Babcock, and today it's kind of a special guest, honestly. I mean, she did her one story, but she's also my daughter. So, welcome, Jennifer.
I
So, we're just going to jump in. So, usually I have guests introduce themselves. So, do you just want to introduce yourself and just maybe say a little bit about yourself?
um I'm Jennifer Babcock. I am Wendy Babcock's daughter. I'm an artist and an animal lover, and that's most of what takes up my time.
Yeah, definitely loving animals. So, what's the count right now in your house?
Oh, we've got, I think it's four cats, and a mouse.
You never know. I mean, what's the most I think you've had? I mean, you've had a lot at one point. Do you know
Oh
even?
gosh. The most, I mean, we're down. We had like six cats for the longest time, but we
Yeah,
lost two of our boys in the last like year or two. Which I talk
yeah,
about in my Wen story is losing my boy is a big reason I started writing my Wen story in the first place.
yeah,
Rick, my cat
yeah.
Rick, he's my soul cat.
He was so sweet. And then his brother Reggie, those two were the best,
Yep.
you know. So let's go back a little ways because obviously, so those who don't know, Jennifer was one of the very first one stories. Her and Vanessa Cook did their first one stories at my event, Warrior Unchained. So that was interesting because that was my first time coaching someone through a one story. So it was all very brand new for all of us. So compared to the first time, going through it the second time, was there a difference for you in writing the story and getting coached?
Oh yeah, it was there was a difference in that the way I was dealing with it and handling it. Of course, the coaching was different
Hmm.
because we were the first ones through. We were the guinea pigs. And seeing it all, like the whole coaching all fleshed out now, it was
Yeah,
definitely easier. I mean, it was good for the
good.
first time too, but like it going through the process with so many other women this time made a huge difference, I feel like.
Oh yeah.
Um it I don't know, being able to hear all their stories, and like at the same time I was writing mine felt, I don't know, I felt like we were all feeding off each other the whole time.
Yeah, I saw that too, and even just like rehearsing the talks, and then just I just love the camaraderie and people like cheering each other on. I know Tracy's a huge fan of yours, so like she was like really, a loud advocate of you telling your story and sharing and everything. So, so let's talk a little bit about the writing of the story this time. So how did that
Well,
go?
the writing was different this time. I wrote a lot more this time. I ran way over time. But the difference this time was that it felt real. The last time writing my one story and then speaking and like getting on the stage and doing it, it didn't feel real until I got off the stage. Like it didn't feel like it was going to happen until I got off the stage. So it felt like I didn't really take it in the way I did this time.
Right.
Like this time I don't know. There was a difference and like everything felt real. Like I knew the moment I started writing, the moment I saw your post on Facebook that you were still looking for speakers, I knew I had to be on the stage, and I knew not that I had to be, but that I was going to be.
Wow.
And that's a bizarre feeling for me.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. Um, so normally I would walk people into like their business, but you don't currently, have a business that you're working towards. And in your story, you kind of cover that. So those listening, Jennifer's one story will play after this. So you get to hear what she said on stage, but just touching some of that as far as like your story and the battle that you've had this year specifically, from obviously it started before January, but really January through when you gave your one story, there was a lot of stuff. So like where are you at now and what do you think's coming next?
I'm not sure what's coming next. And I think that's a part of it, is that
Hmm.
I have been so worried about what's coming next for so long that now I'm just kind of, like I say in my story, I'm open to the new things, to
Yeah.
the failing, the chance of failing. I mean, my stepdad said something to me about that, in this that 6 months period, actually. He said, I told him I was terrified of failing. And he said, why? It could be fun. And that stuck with me through all of this, that like, what if he's right? This could have,
Yeah.
it could be fun. So now I'm just looking at my options. I'm looking at things. I know that's gonna terrify you, mom, but I'm looking at maybe getting my motorcycle license as something I've always wanted to do.
Mhm.
I'm romanticizing the little things in my life, like just I take princess baths now because it's to help me make sure that I'm keeping track of I have a hard time taking care of myself.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to do those little things and not be so hard on myself when they don't go right,
Right.
or if I have a bad day. And I'm just hoping that that's going to take me somewhere where I'm meant to be, and not trying to put so much pressure on where that road is going.
Yeah.
Like there is no specific stopping point.
Right.
And I feel like that's kind of what life is. There isn't really a stopping point.
Yeah.
That even if I succeed and do everything I've ever wanted to, life doesn't stop.
Right. That's true. And what I like is because there's other people who are at that same point as you are of just, being open to exploring and not saying, oh, I have to do this or I have to do that, or having somebody else's expectations on you, mine, your dad's, anyone's, I mean, you're 30. So our expectations at this point are kind of null and void, in my opinion, because it's your life. You get to do what you want to do, and being open to that is huge, I think.
Well, and I'm lucky enough to have a strong support system.
Yeah.
Like I most of my stuff is, I mean, there's external stuff, of course, especially
Yeah.
this past year, but a lot of the main problems are all internal. And I'm so lucky to have that support system. And a lot of people don't have that, which
Right.
is a big reason why I wanted to do the Wen story this time, was because I have people who are telling me I'm not crazy, that I'm not broken, that I'm not a mess, or that I'm a mess, but that's okay.
Right.
A lot of people don't have that. So hopefully hopefully somebody listens to my story and gets something out of it that way, that you're not broken, that you're not a mess, you're not a lost cause,
Yeah.
even without that support system.
What would you say to somebody that if they came to you, and I think back to your story, obviously from January till now, like when you hit that kind of kind of a breaking point, if you will, in a way, between your leg and then the tooth and all that stuff, somebody's in the middle of it right now. Like, is there advice you could give them that you would say, well, here's just one small thing?
Needing help isn't a crime.
Yeah.
It's not a fault in you to need help. And even though it's uncomfortable and it hurts, like accepting help, it hurts. It
Yeah.
feels wrong. Sit in that feeling anyway, because the only way through it is through.
Yeah. I love that. So I want to go into a little bit about your artwork because that's what you've done obviously your whole life. I mean, since you were very young, you started drawing, and I was just like, holy crap, this kid is like really talented. Some of the stuff that you were drawing at such a young, I mean, I'm talking like 5 years old, 5, 6 years old, that you were able to do. So how has art, I mean, you talked about this in your first one story, but even now, how has art played a role in like the mental health and all the struggles and even the celebrations, the good things in your life?
Well, art is it's a constant in my life. It's been a constant my whole life. There's something about it that helps me, like in the ways that I struggle to say how I feel, or like accept how I feel, is probably the better way to say that.
Yeah.
Art has been the way for me to work on that, is to be a way to work out those problems. My philosophy around art has always been that it's a self-portrait. I had an art teacher in my first one story. I talked about that. I had an art teacher who said that every piece of art is a self-portrait. And I've tried to live by that. I've tried to live by that, all those little mistakes, the little lines that make your art unique, the mistakes that make it yours, make it not replaceable, not replicatable.
Yeah.
Like that is life, that's a part of actual life as well. And it's just the easiest way for me to represent it is artistically. My brain is full of colors and shapes and visuals. So expressing that in like an abstract way has always helped me. I mean, even in therapy, I still take my sketchbook to therapy when I'm really struggling. I found that journaling through sketches is actually way easier for me to process my own feelings than to try and write it down and make sense of it in a way that somebody else can translate it.
That's interesting. So I want you to explain that to everyone listening. So when you say they're sketching instead of journaling, so does your therapist then, I mean, I don't want you to divulge any private information, but like, if does it help you explain to somebody what you drew? Is that how that works?
Yes. It helps me explain how I'm feeling because it's really easy for me to take a pencil or a pen and just with a blank piece of paper, just start doing something with no
Yeah.
plan. Most of my art, there's no plan.
Yeah.
I struggle with that. But what's really easy for me is to just take what I'm feeling and just let it control where my hand goes.
Yeah.
And by the end, I'll have drawn something that represents what I'm feeling. And I didn't even know what I was feeling when I started. And it usually comes out abstract. Sometimes it's more surrealist sometimes, but whatever it is, it always was unplanned and exactly what I needed to say in that moment without knowing it.
Yeah. It's been fun
Basically,
even
when I don't have the words, I have the art.
right. And it's been fun, like as your mom, to watch other people witness your artwork because at my events, usually Jennifer will do live art in the room with my audience, not with the audience, but like you'll sit up to the side and you just go in without expectation of what you're gonna create. And so the women will stop by and they'll watch what you're creating. And yeah, it's just so even for me to come over and look, and it's like I never know what the end piece is actually going to look like.
Well, and I don't either because it's always based on the
Yeah.
speakers that day. It's always based on the energy in the room. I just let it guide me to what needs to happen.
Yeah.
And somehow the painting always goes to somebody who really needed it, who really sees it.
Yeah. Yeah. This year, Tori got it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. After years of wanting it, of coveting it, she finally got it this year.
See, right?
I
It's got
adore
to just
her.
be, yeah, it's got to be right in alignment with all of that. Um, what else was I going to, oh, I know what to ask you is, as far as art goes, what's your favorite, it's not modality, that's not the right word. What's the word you use for art? Different types, like
Medium.
medium, that's it. So like tell everyone like what types of art that you do, because I know you do several different kinds, but
I do a lot of different things. But when it comes to art, it's probably the only thing I have real confidence in myself. There's not a style of art I feel like I couldn't at least attempt and make it happen,
yeah.
But my favorite, I tend to paint a lot. I like to paint large scale paintings personally. That's my favorite. And then I like doing mixed media. I'm a huge fan of rhinestones and just little pieces of other things, finding thrifted objects and turning them into sculptures. Buttons. Me and Joey work on buttons. My boyfriend, we work on buttons all the time, and I glue stuff on them. That's what I've been working on lately. But sketching is usually where I go back to.
Is there a place where people can see your art? I don't know if you have any pages where people can view your art yet.
Not at the moment, but it's in the works. It's in my brain. I've been thinking and I've been talking with you about what to do with that. So hopefully there'll be something coming soon.
Yay, that would be awesome. So, what was it like when you did step off the stage doing the second one story? Because it was a different feel for you and everything. Like, what was that like getting out there, telling the story, and then stepping off the stage?
This time I don't know, it wasn't heavy. It just felt kind of like I felt it's strange. I felt similar going on stage as I felt off.
Mm.
Like, I don't know. I felt confident in it, and that was different. Like, I felt very confident in it. I think it also made a difference that as I was walking off the stage this time, I was walking off the stage into the arms of a group of women who I'd watched do the exact same thing. And they made it feel different.
Yeah. Yeah. When you have that support there for you, it does make all the difference. So, what do you think is next? I know it's a big step right now to ask, but what is that looking like for you?
Well, next, it's a lot to do with my personal life.
Yeah.
Um, Hopefully, it'll lead to a business and venture at some point. But right now, I'm really focusing a lot on my personal life with my boyfriend and with our life together. And I want to focus on being a better person and accepting myself for who I am. And I think that's going to be a really big step for me.
I mean, it just makes me proud to see that. Just seeing you on stage and sharing your story and how it's going to affect other people is just, it's just a feeling I really can't explain. I don't know how else to say it.
Well, I have a similar feeling about you.
Aw. Well, up next, everyone, you're going to get to hear Jennifer's When story, her second one. So you can go watch the first one, which was back from November of 2024. And then this year, Jennifer stepped on the Milwaukee Improv stage and told her second one story. So thank you again, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Your story matters, don't let it fade. When everything changed, you were made.
When everything changed, I heard the sharp sound of something breaking and then slowly lowered myself to the ground. I don't remember that part. Joseph, my boyfriend, says that I lowered myself down. I just remember screaming obscenities until the adrenaline kicked in. It trickled from the top of my head down to my toes, and then the pain was mostly gone. It was early January 2026, and I was leaving the house early on my way to therapy when I slipped on a big patch of ice. I did not fall. I literally slipped. No bumps, no scrapes, no bruises, just whoop, and my leg bent in a direction it definitely wasn't supposed to. Joey had to pick me up, carry me to the car, get me all settled, and then make a quick call into work to let them know he was taking his girlfriend to the ER. The whole ordeal took maybe 15 minutes. That is all the time it took for me to convince myself that I was overreacting. Yeah, I believed that right up until the doctor came in 2 different scans later and said, "Yup, it's broken. We called down to ortho and he wants to see you right now." Right now. Okay. So Joey wheels me down and we meet this ortho doctor. He's great. No nonsense. Slaps a picture of my bones up on the wall and says, "Your leg is broken in a small inconvenient spot. You need surgery. We're going to put in a screw. I've got an opening tomorrow. No worries." All of that sounded fine to me. So I broke my leg and now I need surgery. Who cares? Everybody, apparently. Once we knew what the plan was, I started to make the rounds and let my family know what was going on. My mom was the first call, obviously. She, like a normal person, immediately freaked out and started checking her schedule to see if she could be there for the surgery. I figured she was going to respond like that, but for some reason, it still surprised me. I was even more surprised when everyone else had the same reaction. I've got a big family. It's hard to get everybody together, so for a bunch of them to drop everything to sit in a waiting room because I broke my leg felt weird. Weirder still, this isn't the first time this has happened. When I was in first grade, I broke my foot. I was at some park I'd never been to on some ridiculous slide when I landed on my foot awkwardly and then just hobbled for a day, convinced I just twisted my ankle. My older sister carried me around for the most part, but by the end of the day, I was literally crawling. Mom and Dad came to pick us up. They took one look at me and were like, "Nope, we're going to the ER." I broke my foot in 2 different places, and I actually needed 2 different casts. My uncle actually cut the second cast off with his pocket knife so I could participate in a water balloon fight. I also taught myself how to jump rope on one foot during that time, so it really could have been worse. How about that, though? I was just a little girl back then, but here I am, 30 years old, still assuming that the pain I feel is over-exaggerated and a burden to others. So, sitting in yet another hospital bed, looking around at my concerned family, it got my brain turning. When exactly did I convince myself that I wasn't important? I mean, sure, my thoughts and feelings are pretty out in the open. I even warn people when I first meet them, "I will tell you my life story if you let me. Please tell me to shut up if it's too much." I'm the worst when it comes to oversharing or trauma dumping. My panic attacks are worse, big, over-the-top meltdowns, very visible. I'm an open book. I could tell you my whole backstory. I know who did what, when, and where, a disorganized catalog of my entire life's experience. Yeah, I'm an open book. Written in a language I apparently can't read. The self-loathing is there on every page, and I'm only just now noticing it. And it changes the whole story. Lucky for me, having a broken leg means that I now had all the time in the world to think about it. After the surgery, after everybody went home and it was just Joseph and I, things began to unravel. I hadn't been doing well even before I broke my leg. I'd been floundering, and at that point, my ability to communicate had completely broken down, even when it came to my family. What started off as anxiety attacks about texting back turned into full-on meltdowns over all of the unanswered texts and calls I had on my phone. No one was harassing me or anything. I've just got a big family, lots of people who care about me. My absence was noticed. Sometimes I would sit there for God knows how long, just trying to send one text message. Just send one text message, Jennifer, and that'll be enough. I would look down and I'd realize that I have tears on my face, and I don't remember starting to cry. I would look down at what I'd been writing and just decide it was nothing. So I'll delete it and just sit in the guilt because somehow that felt easier. I mean, what if I said the wrong thing? Should I acknowledge all the unanswered messages, or would that be weird? Can I acknowledge the unanswered messages? I don't know if I'm capable of that. Should I explain to them what's going on in my head, or would that be too much? Of course it would be too much. Jennifer, you should just shut up. Can you just be normal for once in your goddamn life? Stop. None of them knew any of that. I didn't tell them. They just saw struggle. Struggle at the cost of my closest relationships. So I went back to therapy and I broke my leg. And my family still showed up for me. It was scary. Accepting that kind of unconditional love felt wrong. And now I had no choice. Joey had to carry me up and down the front steps of our house. He had to help me with literally everything at first, and for whatever reason, I didn't expect to be so immobile. So I wouldn't say I handled it well. I prepared the best I could. I called my doctor, I talked to my therapist, I got new meds, I got an as-needed anxiety medication. But all of that preparation doesn't mean much when I didn't care enough about myself to use it. I knew that I needed the extra help, but there was a part of me that said needing that help meant that I didn't deserve it. So Joey and I fought a lot, mostly over my own insecurities about abandonment. I was constantly watching him, just waiting for the day that he's going to realize it. He's going to realize that I'm too much, that I'm too much of a burden, and he's done with it, and he's going to walk away, and I'm going to be alone. I was terrified of being blindsided, so every sign that I thought I saw turned into a full-blown interrogation plus meltdown. I just couldn't wrap my head around it, which is ridiculous because this man has spent the last 10 years, a full decade, showing me in every way he can think of that he loves me and he wants me in his life despite all of the crap. But I still felt like I needed proof because how could a man as wonderful as this be with someone as awful as me? There it is again. That assumption that I'm just not good enough. This thought has plagued me for so long that I don't recognize myself without it. I've been going through all of my old stories, and the same plot line is always reoccurring. I haven't liked myself for a long time, and I've been terrified, but certain. Everyone in my life is going to wake up one day, they're going to see how awful I am, and they're going to hate me too. That's only a matter of time. Stuck in my house for weeks, and with a stupid leg brace on, I joked that God had been watching me struggle and had finally decided enough was enough. Sit your ass down, little girl. We tried it your way, now we're going to do it my way. Full force into self-acceptance. I didn't realize how right I was. because right after I had the staples removed from my leg, I fell even further into my own personal pit of despair. Part of not liking myself means that I don't really take care of anything until it gets out of hand. So I had a cracked tooth in the back of my mouth. It had decided that this was the perfect time to make itself a problem. I have never experienced pain like that for so long in my entire life. It started on a Monday, slightly sore, turned into unbearable by Tuesday. And of course, we couldn't find a dentist. The closest available appointment was a week away. I was in the ER 5 times by Saturday. It was awful. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. I would be so nauseous from the pain, but because I couldn't eat, I would just dry heave, drool, and cry. They had given me like a baby dose of Oxy after my surgery, and I'd refused to take it because I have strong reactions to things like that. But this tooth pain had me practically begging for it. Not that it mattered, because the Oxy did nothing. Sunday, my mom found an emergency dentist in Milwaukee, and they got me in right away. Joey wheeled me into the waiting room, and I could hear Latin music playing in the background. The receptionist took one look at me and said, "Oh, honey, we're going to get you back here and fix you all up. Don't worry, it's going to be lit." I knew I was in good hands. Joey had to run out to the car to get something, so I was alone when the door opened again, and in walks my younger sister and her whole family. My younger sister, her husband, and all 3 kiddos, under 4 by the way, come in, and they apparently had come to bring me a comfort basket. I guess my sister worked only a few blocks away from where the emergency dentist was, and she'd seen us and come to wish me good luck. I don't get to see my sister that much anymore. So the second I saw her, I just started sobbing uncontrollably. Her being there, if only for a moment, made needing an emergency root canal a little bit easier to deal with. Fast forward about a month. I am on crutches now. I can take the stupid brace off. And I'm averaging about 3 panic attacks a week. And it is time to start preparing for Legendary Women in Business, a conference that my mother created. Now, I have been to every single one of these events, and I'll be damned if I was going to miss this one because I broke my leg and was having a mental breakdown. So I prepared the best I could. I planned only to do a little bit at a time. I reeled myself in. I held myself back from overdoing it. The only thing I really put a lot of pressure on was my appearance. This year's Legendary event featured a gala experience, complete with a pink carpet walk. I had this image in my head of walking into that event, seeing my mom there dressed like a queen, and then me next to her like a princess. It's kind of silly, but I figured everything else in my life was falling apart, and if I couldn't control that, maybe I could at least feel pretty for a few hours. And all was going really well until 2 days before the event. First, the hot water goes out. Of course. My hair is disgusting, and I have a hair appointment booked for the next day at noon. How am I supposed to go to my hair appointment if I am disgusting? First panic attack hits. Joey fixes the hot water. I'm able to clean myself up and reel myself in again, just in time to get a massive migraine and start throwing up every time I tried to take ibuprofen. Second panic attack hits. I barely get any sleep. I have to be up at 10 because my aunt's going to be at my house at 11 to be at our appointment at noon. We both have appointments at the same time, and I'm so excited to spend time with her. I hadn't talked to her in a long time, and it just sucked. Communication issues, remember? So I wake up at 10 o'clock just to realize that my glasses are missing. I am blind without my glasses. Where did they go? Third panic attack hits. I have to call Joseph, and he has to come home to help me find the glasses. He gets there, and I'm already revved up, and I feel terrible that he had to come home, so of course, we start to fight. He's upset. I'm upset. My aunt's upset because she had to wait outside my house for half an hour with no explanation. She had to go to her appointment alone. I realized the time right about noon. The third panic attack just blurred into the fourth. I just lost it. I threw everything across the room. I told Joseph I wasn't going to the event. Why do I keep trying to do things when I just know they're never going to work out? When I know I'm not going to be able to handle it? It just felt like everything was crashing down around me, and it was my fault for just not being good enough. Joey had to literally pull the scissors out of my hand when I tried to cut my own hair out of rage. I missed my appointment, so no one's going to see me, so who cares? He held me while I cried for over an hour, and then tucked me into bed when I was finally too exhausted to do anything but sleep. I had hoped that when I woke up, I would feel better. I didn't. So I called my mom, and I told her what was going on. I told her I'm not coming to the event. I will not be there in the morning. I will not be there at all. I'm not coming. And she listened to me, and she comforted me while I cried. And then when I was ready, she took every one of my problems and turned them into seemingly reasonable solutions. Jennifer, so what if your hair is gross? Just get some box dye. It's a temporary Band-Aid. This is not your last chance to get your hair done. So what if you're emotionally distraught? You've got a freaking hotel room to go into if you've got any problems. There's no big deal. No one's going to think less of you for any of this stuff. Only I'm going to think less of me. Mom told me that she felt like that she just had a feeling that I was meant to be in the room this year at Legendary. I believed her. So I went and got the box dye, and I decided I was determined to make the best of it. The first day of the event went really well. Old and new faces alike coming up to talk to me. I felt bad that I couldn't be running around the room as much as I usually am, but I was trying to stay positive. The second day was the day of the gala. And we were going to be getting a 2-hour break in between to get ready. And right before that was announced, something stupid happened. I was just a ticking time bomb, so really it was only a matter of time, but, the stupid thing came. My vape broke. No big deal, right? Not a problem. Wrong. All of the thoughts just kept rushing back. You stupid girl. You planned for all of this stuff. You tried so hard just to watch it all fall apart anyway. Why do you bother doing this? Of course this happens to you. This is always what happens to you. You're not allowed to have anything nice. Why try? The thoughts continued in my head all the way back up to the hotel room with my aunt. I was visibly frustrated, and I knew she could tell, and I was trying not to make it her problem. So I went out onto the balcony to talk to Joseph. I had hoped that calling him would calm me down. It didn't. And so instead, I was just out on the balcony shouting and raging about how stupid all of this was, how stupid I was. It was storming that night, and the weather outside seemed to mirror what was going on inside of me. I just felt so lost. My aunt poked her head out for a moment to try and comfort me and also gently remind me that we are still in public and you should not be yelling. Only for me to absolutely bite her head off. Then my mom called to ask for the room number. I accidentally accepted and then bit her head off too. This was my worst nightmare. Everything I had been trying to keep from my family for so long is now on display for everyone to see, and I can't do anything about it. I know that when I'm overwhelmed, I'm unreasonable. You can't reason with unreasonable. They shouldn't have to deal with that. I felt so bad. I was sitting out on the balcony still, and the walls felt like they were closing in, and I knew I had to go inside and face them. And when I did, still raging and crying and determined to put everything into a bag and just go home, which wasn't going to happen because there was a literal tornado warning happening at the time. So my mom came over and she put her arms around me. I tried to fight her off, my words coming out a mile a minute. She just held me and said, "You don't have to explain, just cry." And I heard something sharp breaking. this time in my chest. It was exactly what I needed to hear. It wasn't until that moment that I realized that's what I was doing. I was trying to explain away all the bad parts of myself before they noticed and hated me for it. But I got to talk to my mom, and I got to apologize, and we still made it to the gala. It was amazing. I didn't wear any makeup. I didn't do my hair, and it was a great time. Everyone looked beautiful, and somehow I didn't feel like a toe. I had so many feelings rushing through me, but I knew that I didn't have any time to process because we still had a whole half a day to go for the event. So I just tried to take it all in as it happened. On the last day, at the very end of the event, this amazing thing happened. All of the women in the room got up spontaneously. They joined hands and just swayed back and forth to a song that my mom wrote. And as beautiful as that was to witness, at the same time, in the corner of the room, a woman held me. Nothing crazy, just an arm around my shoulder and a soothing sway back and forth. I cried. I cried for the beauty I was seeing. I cried for my mom and this beautiful thing that she made and how proud I am of her. I cried for this woman holding me who had no idea what I was going through that day, but held me just because she could. And I cried for myself because that feeling in my chest was starting to feel a lot like hope. Like someone telling me, hey, Jennifer, you're not alone. So as the event wound down and we were all cleaning everything up, I, of course, get super nauseous randomly. So I make my way to the bathroom as quickly as I can on my crutches, and I get in and I announce to all the stalls, I'm so sorry, but I'm going to throw up. Ugh, so embarrassing. Luckily, my aunt was in there, and as she's handing me tissues under the stall door, another woman comes in, and she offers me the last mint in her purse. Such a small act of kindness, but it just was it touched me. I thought it was very nice. And then I noticed it's not just any mint, but it's my favorite kind of mint, Lifesavers. I love those things. So then I'm leaving the bathroom, and I'm feeling really crappy and embarrassed about getting sick in public when I notice that on one of the sponsors' tables outside the bathroom, they have a giant bowl of Tootsie Rolls. Not just any Tootsie Rolls. The special blue Tootsie Rolls that I have been obsessed with for my entire life. I have eaten entire bags of these beautiful blue babies, and I will do it again. The guy let me take a handful, and suddenly getting sick in public didn't seem as quite a big deal as I thought it was. I know it doesn't seem like much, just some candy and some people being nice to me, but it all felt like it was building up to something. Like these were all signs. Like the universe was poking me with a stick. Did you figure it out yet? How about now? No? I needed one more big push before I figured it out. I left the event, and I tried to keep that hopeful feeling in my chest. I played my music loud, and I sang along to try and drown out the what-if demons that were chasing after me. When I got home, Joey was waiting on the front steps. And at first I thought it was just because he was excited to see me, but then I saw the look on his face, and I knew something was really wrong. My 15-year-old soul cat, Rick, had passed away that day. Joey found him about a half hour before I pulled into the driveway. I'd had my boy for so long, and I knew that I was going to lose him someday, and it was going to crush me, and it did. But as my heart was breaking, that feeling in my chest only grew. It was changing, and I finally had a word for it. Open. Not in my chest, but in my soul. It was like my soul was finally open to the full story. Someone had been up there knocking me down over and over again, just waiting for me to realize that I kept getting up. The self-loathing comes from years of only watching myself fall, years of assuming that the fall is a foregone consequence of something that must be inside me, like it was a character trait I was assigned at birth. And now, all of the bad things I knew would happen have happened. They happened all so quickly in such a short amount of time, and now my cat's gone too. But I couldn't unsee it. If my family can show up for me, even when I've gone no contact, if Joseph can stay with me through all of the meltdowns, if my mom and my Aunt Tina can still love me and not hate me after I've been unreasonable, if even strangers can watch me visibly struggle and not pass judgment, if I was ever worthy of my Rick boy, why am I so hard on myself? I sat in that epiphany for a few days after I lost Rick. I wanted to do something good with these feelings. So I decided to write it down. The words just poured out of me. And pretty soon, I looked down and realized I was writing a story. A story about how taking that first step on the journey of self-discovery is a journey all in itself. A story about literally falling down the rabbit hole of self-discovery. I don't know how the story ends. I don't know what a Jennifer with self-confidence looks like. I don't know most things, as it turns out. But I have learned that sometimes opening up feels a lot like breaking. It's sharp, painful, and unreasonable, but it's absolutely worth it. And then I saw a Facebook post. My mom, the CEO of When Stories, was doing another round of speaker training, and she still had spots open. I had already started writing. I knew in that moment that I needed to be on this stage, which is crazy because normally I would run away from something like this. But all I could think about was, what if I'm not the only one who's still in the middle of that first step? What if there's somebody else out there who needs someone to tell them that they're not breaking? So here I am. I took the risk. Not much has changed since I broke my leg. Not really. I still go to therapy every week. I still grieve Rick every day. I still don't understand why Joey takes care of me, and he's still taking care of me anyway. What's changed is me. I can see more of myself now. I still don't like everything I see, but I'm trying to love it all anyway. I want to finally start living my life because I want to, not because of some debt I feel I owe for being so difficult to love. Maybe all of this proves that I'm not so difficult to love. Maybe it proves that I'm worth the trouble. I've been taking my time now, actually using the breathing techniques that my therapist told me to use. I'm working on my communication issues, but Joey and I are my priority. If he can stand by me through all of this crap and more, then I can stop hating his girlfriend. But more than that, I can trust that he loves me. I can trust that all of them love me, and that no amount of struggle is going to change that. From first grade, breaking my foot, to slipping on the ice 6 months ago, to standing here right now with a screw in my leg, my people had decided I was worth it a long time ago. Now it's my turn to decide that I'm worth it. Thank you.
Your story matters, don't let it fade. When everything changed, you were made.